visited with him unsuccessfully because he's doing it backward.
They talk about historic moments. This is historic. Him going to North Korea is like Chamberlain going to talk to Hitler.
Okay, well, we're in the presidential campaign season, Jesse, so I guess that everybody had to jump on the bandwagon and pour cold water on it. But at a historic moment, the talks had been stalled. The staff, remember, the president walked away from the last one, and the staffs weren't even talking to each other, and now staff can at least start talking to each other again.
Donald Trump is the peacemaker on the Korean peninsula. That's not me who said that, Juan. That is the South Korean President Moon, a left-of-center leader. So I just think everybody needs to be reminded that people in the region are very appreciative of what Donald Trump is doing over there diplomatically. Listen, it's going to take a long time. It's a process. But I think you can acknowledge, everybody can acknowledge, it's heading in the right direction. That direction can change. But at this point, no more nuclear testing. And our posture remains strong in the region. We just opened up the largest U.S. military base in the entire world in South Korea. We have 25,000 military personnel there. The naval fleet is right off the coast. And they're still under the nuclear umbrella. Everything that other presidents have done have not worked. It has gotten more dangerous and more dangerous in North Korea. This president comes along, tries something different. He's criticized the entire time, the tweeting, the summits, one of them which he walked away from. But I think everybody can agree we're heading in the right direction. There is a thaw, and historians will acknowledge that this step across the DMZ was a very powerful and important moment.
And a symbolic one, Greg, but sometimes you need a symbolic moment for everybody to take notice. The other thing that President Trump was able to do is he got everyone to stop talking about the Democratic debate.
Interesting.
Right? Which maybe helps the Democrats.
Yeah, of course they're going to attack him. That's what you would do. And let's be honest, if it were the adversary, an adversary from your party on the other side doing it we would do the same thing.
How dare Obama meet with a dictator with no preconditions?
Exactly.
Yeah, in 07.
So I want to just attack a couple of the criticisms. If you see diplomacy as a weakness, what does that leave you with? We know that there are tyrants and creeps in this world. You can hold two thoughts in your head, that there are rough customers in the world, and you got to talk to them. So you can keep those, and you can then your goal is to remove the psychological barriers or the threats that are perceived by the adversary who thinks that maybe you want to kill them. Trump has removed that. He's saying, look, we're not interested in blowing you up. You don't need to have these nuclear items. But I mean, casting diplomacy as a zero-sum game. We talk to him, therefore we lose something. Right? So what did we lose? Did we lose money? Did we lose land? Did we lose lives? No. Well, we lost our status in the world while we've elevated his status. If that's how you value these things, no wonder we've made no progress. You will never make any progress because if you keep saying that diplomacy causes a loss in status, why have diplomacy at all? Forget about it. And clearly, we are in a better situation than we were 2 years ago. We remember what happened when Hawaii thought that they were going to be nuked.
Yeah.
I prefer this to that. It's a site.
Sure, they do too.
Yeah, I think so too.
Just a thought.
Yeah.
Juan, do you want to play Jesse's favorite game?
What about it?
What about?
Yeah, because I'm glad you guys said it, so I don't have to say it. But I remember that if Obama was talking about, oh, let's talk to Cuba. Oh, no, this is terrible. Oh, what about Iran? Oh, terrible. And of course, as you pointed out, North Korea, don't do it. Don't give him that kind of status on the world stage.
Couldn't trust Obama, though.
Oh, I see. Okay.
I wrote that. But I didn't write you can't trust Obama. I wrote that it depends on whoever you support, you trust that person with your best.
There you go. Okay, but the big issue for me is that Trump's gesture, which I think is just vanity, it's just a photo op, is not stopping North Korea from getting nuclear weapons. It's not stopping their missile testing. In fact, there's now talk that what the Trump administration is willing to do is accept North Korea as a nuclear power.
That's not true.
Well, this is what the New York Times is reporting.
Oh, the New York Times is absolutely right, Juan. They've never been wrong.
And let me just say that John Bolton, who was not on the trip, he just said, you know what, we haven't talked about it in terms of national security. But, of course, the national security team didn't talk about Trump taking a step into North Korea. I would make one last point, Dana, that for all of us at this table, I think we were all very sensitive to Otto Warmbier and to what his family went through. And the idea that President Trump goes over there and now is palling around saying nice things about Kim Jong-un, who tortured and I think killed an American citizen, I just think that is so disrespectful to his memory and to the family.
So what you're saying is because of Otto Warmbinger, which you're right, we went down hard on what they did, that we should not have any diplomacy. Do you think his family is okay with that?
I didn't say that.
His family is okay with that.
I didn't say that. What I said is it's the president of the United States giving his imprimatur to that man.
But here's the thing, too. President Trump could just as easily go back to fire and fury tomorrow because, as we know with the president, he's unpredictable. But what I think he is trying to do is he's trying to convince Kim Jong-un that he doesn't have to be isolated from the rest of the world and that nuclear weapons aren't key to the regime's survival. And I think the most telling example of this and the most, the argument that he's trying to make is depicted if you watch the video that President Trump presented Kim Jong-un in Singapore. It's like this really interesting video that he showed him. And essentially what it does, it shows these diverging paths that North Korea could go on. And one is isolation and destruction. And the other is prosperity and peace. And so that's the argument that President Trump has continued to make to North Korea. These are the two paths you have. These are the two choices you have. It's either one or the other. And I think everything we've seen of President Trump trying to do of late is to encourage diplomacy, to increase the sanctions, to try to do whatever he can to push them into the corner of peace and prosperity, which I think we should all support.
Especially we're not at war. We're not at war with North Korea.
And the sanctions
we aren't at war with them. We may not like them. We may not like, there's a lot of people that we don't like, but unfortunately, we're all stuck on this earth together. And maybe it takes somebody who has a personal and persuasion skill set to break this thing open. It seems like it's happening.
But it's 3 meetings, right?
But the
third
sanctions
meeting,
also
and nothing
remain.
has happened.
If only it happens tomorrow. It might take 50 years.
I too have don't trust Obama underscored. And
No, I didn't say that.
exclamation mark.
That was not what I said.
The point is, you can respect Obama and think he's better in some things than Trump is, but I don't think he's the right man for this job. Trump had a different skill set to go and deal with this guy that I don't think Obama had.
Yeah, I mean, Obama would have given him $150 billion cash if he could have. Maybe that wouldn't have worked, Juan. Maybe he's trying to not give him cash.
By the way,
maybe try not giving him the cash.
By the way, on a serious note, what does this say to Iran? As Iran starts to violate the deal that we abandoned, we think, what? So they say, oh, well, you're doing business with these guys. You let North Korea have a nuclear weapon.
It's the two paths.
Let us have a nuclear weapon.
I think the president's trying to get better deals done with the Iranians and with the North Koreans because the deals before those didn't work.
Is this all show?
Juan, if you actually had constructive criticism, we'd listen.
I don't think they're going to agree.
Okay, she's telling me to go. All right, calls for a federal investigation after an Antifa's brutal assault on a conservative